So the first thing I'm going to say is there's a couple of Republicans who were new to me before the debate, and
Mhm.
I'm going to start voting for them to get catapulted into the sun. But before we do all of that, beef, wine, and shenanigans, ladies and gentlemen, we are back and we're
Yay.
black. Mark Abbott, Denise Tapscott, Kirk Johnson, and myself, Stephen Van Patten, at your service. Friendly neighborhood horror writers. Here we are. So I gotta tell you, we have a movie to talk about, and all of us have seen it. All of us did the homework.
Yes.
And I'm like a little girl because that makes me happy. So we can all talk about something evenly. Last Voyage of the Demeter.
Yeah.
A very, very good idea, first of all. Whoever fucking came up with this was like you're right up there with the cat that decided to come up with a vampire movie up in the polar ice caps.
28 days later.
No, 30 Days of Night.
30 days of night.
Yes,
Yes.
that idea.
Yes.
That's one of those things. Whereas I'm sure I can say this for all four of us. That's one of those things when you hear the concept, you're like, God damn it, why didn't I think of that?
Exactly.
Oh, so good.
But Last Voyage of the Demeter. And for those of you that are listening that didn't quite catch the concept, here it is. What this movie is it's an expansion of a particular chapter from the original Bram Stoker's Dracula. And what it basically is how Dracula himself gets from Transylvania to England, and the horrid, really just brutal treatment of everybody on the ship as he makes the voyage. This is not, for those of you that are going to try to brace yourself and then go see this after listening to us, this is not Frank Langella smooth 1979. I'm in love with you, but I'm just gonna bite you. Type. This is this is Dracula. I want to say this is a lot closer to what Bram Stoker was writing. Because here's the thing, even in Francis Ford Coppola's Bram Stoker's Dracula, there's this like romantic element.
Right.
This cat's not romantic at all.
No,
like he doesn't even know about Valentine's Day. This cat he's on some other shit.
Definitely Son of the Dragon.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. And not Puff either.
No. Absolutely.
No.
I enjoyed it. Occasional problem here and there, but for the most part. But a lot of that has to do with the fact any problems I had just have to do with the fact that I sort of feel like I know how to kill a vampire after all these years. So, and once things start to kind of get obvious, like, oh, sunlight. Right. If that's the case, then maybe we should try X, Y, and Z. But I'm not that cat that's screaming at the screen. But if I was, it might have been a couple of times.
I am.
Well, Denise, what were you screaming? Let's start there.
Oh my God.
Before you start, Denise.
Okay.
Watching it with Denise.
Oh shit.
Solidifies my belief that there should be designated movie theaters for people who yell at the screen. And I don't say this as a diss. I say this as a necessary evil. This is a necessary communal enjoying the movie type shit. This is like there's cats who want to sit and watch a movie quietly in the theater.
Right.
Cool. but then there's those who interact with the action on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
And I guarantee you, I forgot how much more fun it is when they have people who do that.
Yeah, I don't think that was annoying.
No, you were not annoying. Denise was. There were times when it was like a moment, and Denise blurted some shit out, and I just lost it. I'm like, holy shit!
Like, for example, like when they had like the box with the dirt in it, and then you see the cane. I go, oh, there's SVP's cane.
I was out, bro. No, when I tell you, I lost that shit. I lost it. It was done. It was done.
Yeah.
If Denise invites me to watch a movie with her, anywhere, anytime, any place, regardless, I'll be there.
Yeah.
I'll throw on my Nikes.
So much
I'll go
fun.
jump on a plane.
Yes.
Where you going, nigga? Oh man, I'm going to LA. What you going to LA for? Got a new job? Nah, I'm gonna go watch movies with Denise. It was such a fucking
I couldn't help
joy.
It was I was like, this is bad. That's way bad. You saw like the Mark the Dragon. I was like, ooh, here we go. Yeah.
She sang, bruh.
No.
There was a moment. Yes. There was a. I'm sorry, Denise, take your time, but there was a moment where it was like, I ain't gonna spoil it. I'm just gonna say there was a moment, and it was like, oh man, and
right, because I was like, because there's so and so such and such. Without any spoilers. Yeah, right. like with my logic, I was like, but if that's the case with the thing, then this should happen. And then it happened, and Kurt's like, oh, yeah. Stuff like, and I remember in our group text, when Steven said that Dracula does have to make it to England. He has to be there. And then to see how he like metamorphosized and changed. Oh man. Kurt did hit the nail on the head though when he said Nosferatu. He's like, that's the Nosferatu Dracula. And the way he looked and appeared, I was like, yeah, with the teeth and like the bald. Yeah. I enjoyed it thoroughly. It was all the acting was great. I liked how the characters ran towards the danger, where most times people run away from the danger. I really enjoyed it. I'm trying not to give any spoilers.
I guess part of it is they're supposed to be sailors.
Yeah.
And sailors are gangster.
Yeah, they are.
I'm maybe gonna say gangster. They get the hard R.
They get the hard R. They do. They're all of them were hardcore. Even the when he's all like, "You're going to hell." Yeah. And I was like, bro, you can't be saved. Do you think you can be saved? You're not safe. No one on that ship was safe.
More so than everybody else, he fucked up. And I'm just gonna leave. I'm just gonna leave it at that because like, first of all, and okay, little spoiler here. Your selfish ass took the lifeboat. I'm like, son. Yeah. And we all know in general, the really selfish cat in a horror movie, they get it the worst.
Yeah.
They get it the worst.
Yeah.
You know?
And to see how he got it, it's like, oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the boat came back.
But what else is wild? I just feel like, in general, and they were a very brave group.
They were.
Every last one of them.
Like, every single one of them.
They went out like, like crack dealers of old. Like they were like on some New Jack City shit. But
yeah.
none of the strategy involved, let's do something while the sun is up. After you see the first cat.
Yeah.
Burst into flames.
Yeah.
Like, that's gotta play into your strategy a little bit.
Right.
And I gotta ask. So you've never seen this before. This is something totally different. Never seen this before. So you have no context or history on whatever's happening on the boat.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
As far as you're concerned, the doctor says it's an infection. Right. And niggas is blowing up in sunlight.
Right.
I question whether you really would consider that as an actual option, because you don't have no context of what's going on. Like I said, this is something totally new.
Mm-hmm.
To make that jump between, somebody who's got bit, and motherfuckers still don't know what the hell's going on. They're like, they got bit. They don't know it's a vampire. They don't know what's going on.
Right.
They don't even have a concept of zombies.
Right.
At this point.
Right.
And voodoo. They have no concept of these new monsters.
Mm-hmm.
So for this to happen, the kid, you have some of the characters freak out and stuff. You can see that they have no idea what the fuck is going on.
Yeah.
I mean, combustion and, spontaneous combustion and everything.
Yeah.
Would you still have enough wherewithal to consider the sun being an option? Especially after seeing all the destruction it's done.
Right.
Would you have the wherewithal? You know what I mean?
That's a good question.
I get
that's
that.
a good question.
Because you might see other things in nature, like a beast thing or something, and people freak out. And how to kill a bee is not the same way that you cure somebody of a beast thing.
Right.
You don't make the connection. There's no connection being made between that and that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but they kept saying evil's on board. So I would hope that they would try to be open-minded to different options.
Honestly, Kurt, I agree with that after the first time. After the third time, no. You can't still keep telling me you haven't figured out. Like,
I knew after the second time.
Once the situation with the boy happened,
I
was like, I've completely and what messed me up with this movie, I completely forgot halfway through it was a part of the Dracula mythos, because I'm like, they're gonna have to kill this dude, and then I'm like, oh damn it, he's got to make it to London. I was like,
make it to London.
So I got mad at myself for getting so involved in the story.
But as you just said, as you knowing heavily about the vampire mythos.
Well, but I'm talking about
don't.
Once we got to the point with the thing with the kid.
Yeah.
What was the option after that? Let's go in the storm. Let's go in the storm and run the ship aground. Why? Like, so you're gonna drown him? Is that what the plan is?
That was the plan, right?
What do you?
How do you know he can't swim?
Take him into the shallows, chief. Take him in and drown him.
Right.
Because it was like
right.
Because
remember also
not with three.
Because at that point, very few people actually seen him at all. The only ones who've seen him.
Yeah, there was only a couple of people who actually physically saw him. And the thing,
and know what it is. Yeah.
The other thing was,
it was funny.
You guys were sitting there. I'm sitting there like, so we just not going to throw the soil overboard? Like, if you don't know where he is, let's start lifting this stuff out of the hold and just chucking it overboard. One of these containers, he's going to pop up and be like in the middle of the day. And then I suddenly realized, oh yeah, that's right. You got to be at port.
You got to be at port
to get the stuff out of the
It's too heavy for you to just do it.
There's no crane.
Right. You have to be at port for that.
That sucks.
I still think this concept with, I'm a little bit tired, and I know it has to be a part of the story, but I'm a little tired of the people not wanting folk. Y'all haul him from his castle. No one, now keep this in mind, no one said along the journey, why don't we just leave him here?
Right.
And just run. And just, here's some more money. God be with you.
With you.
Because you know you're not going to spend it by the time you get through.
Wait, you know what that was? Wait, Mark, you know what that was, right? Come on, you know what that was. This nigga has been terrorizing us in the village and the countryside for so long.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna not say shit. I'm gonna just let the other nigga deal with it.
It's your problem now. We're done. It's your problem.
Right.
I think what would have been, and me being the bastard that I am, I would have done a post credit with the people celebrating, with the people celebrating, and his brides coming down out of the castle and like laying waste to everybody. Be like, see, you should have opened your mouth when you had the chance.
Right.
Actually, that would have been funny. That would have been good.
That would have been awesome.
basically, it starts end of Return of the Jedi. Jar Jar breaks. When's that free? And all that. And then it's like,
right.
Like Top Gun, but with lady vampires.
Right.
Yeah. Oh,
that would have been
that would have been like Lost Boys. That would have been like Lost Boys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, right.
That would have been savage. Oh, man.
Because you're right. You know that was the conversation. You know, when they were gathering the money, they were like, somebody in the group was like, we need to tell them, shut the fuck up. He's almost out of here. He ain't our problem. Even that one sailor who got in the brother's face and then was like, yeah, you know what? Y'all ain't tell me about this cat. I ain't.
Right. I've seen that symbol before.
Right.
I was like, here we go.
You look like an old Cossack looking for like like trying to escape Putin. He'd see the future with his fucking eye. He's like, oh man, this is gonna be a really bad place in the next couple of years. Like, let me see if I can get on a boat and get out of here.
But, you know, wait, is that the Death Row logo? Man, I ain't fucking with y'all, son. Y'all got Suge Knight on this boat. What are you talking about?
I got to go.
I do have to bring up this point. In Dracula, though, let's be clear. Every time they go to kill the vampires at night,
yes.
Which even when Van Helsing himself is like, I know exactly what this is. We gonna wake up.
We gonna wait tonight.
We're gonna wait. We're gonna wait till the sun go down, and then go and get him when he's awake.
Strongest, yeah.
But that's how many vampire movies have done that though? Seriously.
But I know. I mean,
right?
Yeah.
Fucking.
I think Vampires with James Wood is the only one that didn't do that.
No, because they slept in the dirt. Nobody knew where they were.
Right.
Oh no, you're right. You're right, because
vampires.
they would go in the cave during the day and yank them out. And then be like, you know what, we ain't putting up with this, right?
Yeah. I mean, that wasn't enough to kill their master vampire, but yeah, definitely. Like Salem's Lot, I never forget. It's like, yo, what is taking y'all so long to get to this house? Y'all had all day.
Wait, Steve.
All day.
Steve, that's day job. Nobody pays them for vampire hunting. It'd be like us four like this. Yeah, we're gonna get these vampires. Yeah, but I got an ESPN gig. And Steve
I gotta clock in it too.
Yeah, Mark gotta go. You're right. It'd be like this. We get off at 4. Shit, it's the summer solstice, dude.
And the coffin's in Long Island somewhere.
This shit is in Montauk. It's in Montauk. We got to drive 3 hours.
And then at the very last minute, Mark has to pick Cosette up from school.
Right.
And it's like, so now we're going to get Cosette, take her back to Mark's place, because obviously we're not taking her to go kill the vampire.
Right.
Like, bye, Cosette. I want to come with you guys. No.
Not this time. No.
Get in the house. And then you are to Long Island.
I feel at this point, by the time we're on the road going to Montauk and it's dark, we literally stop the car and go like this. Man, fuck that shit. Let's do this in the weekend.
No, it would be Steven texting me, Mark, did you get there yet? I'm still on the Van Wyck. The traffic is heavy. Denise, where are you? I'm on the 405. I should be there in 2 hours. Give or take it two. That's like, what the hell?
It would literally be a commentary on the inflation and the times, because they'd be like 46 people were killed in a vampire's reign. Though our fearless vampire hunters were able to subdue the beast, they did mention that they did have day jobs, and there was no 401k plan for vampire hunting.
Feel free to contribute to the GoFundMe page.
Right. Because healthcare does cost. If they had free healthcare, we would be able to do this shit full time.
Kirk, I can't go with you tomorrow, man. Well, what happened? Yeah, I used up all my PTO days at work. if I go with you to kill this vampire, they gonna dock my pay.
What am I gonna do around Christmas time? I need time off.
Exactly.
Meanwhile, I have the illustrious Tamron Hall. You want to do what?
What?
You gotta leave. Why?
Your call time is still gonna be
Right.
8 a.m. Yeah.
Yeah.
Denise will be at the airport waiting for the coffin to come in and like, guys, y'all not gonna believe this. The flight was delayed.
It was weight restricted.
It was weight restricted. It was on the wrong plane. It was like, well, who checked it? Well, who checked it in New York? Well, why is it on? Oh, I gotta go to Terminal 8 and go get the thing.
Bring your ID.
We'd be hanging out over by Franklin Ave every night. We can't kill the vampire because it's the only street in Brooklyn that still has like HMI lights set up on the street corners. It is the only it's the safest place in Brooklyn because the lights are HMIs. Daylight lights.
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah. So that was a really good movie. I really, really enjoyed The Last Demeter. That was, yeah.
Yes. Mark, any other thoughts?
No, I had a great time with it. The acting was great, and it was and again, like you said, it's one of those concepts that, and at the end you were like, damn, I wish I had a thought of taking a section out of this book and turning it into this.
Yeah.
I do have one question.
Okay.
And it has to do with the end. And I'm sorry if this turns into a spoiler. I apologize now. But
go ahead.
So, because here's something that's not in the books at all. The incident in the bar at the very end. Now, you would think, and this is, all right, so fine. This is the only real big liberty that because everything else makes sense within the context of how the Dracula novel itself is structured. Because if people didn't know about this brother on the boat, this resourceful black man on this boat.
Yes.
If people don't know, if Van Helsing and Dr. Seward and everybody else, they don't meet this cat, then of course he's not in their diaries and whatever the fuck.
Right.
So, all right. So the couple of things that bother me about this is now he's just this ugly motherfucker in the bar, and he's fucking with him. I have to assume as he goes chasing after Dracula at this point, he dead. He's not like he doesn't die in front of us. He doesn't die.
See, Kirk and I had this discussion after the movie was over. I was like, no, he lived. I think he lived. If they didn't notice him surviving the shipwreck, then he could still be fighting Dracula. I don't think he died like right after. And Kirk was like, no, he gone. I was like, no, I think he gone.
Gone.
Like he could have been like don't think he died. I
ain't saying it is. I say it is, but considering the how the rest of the book ends, with no mention of so there's no point where Professor Van Helsing says, we ran into this rather swarthy fellow hanging out in front of the cemetery, and we recruited him, even though even though we've got an American from Texas who apparently doesn't like black people. Well, I don't know.
You know what? To be honest with you, I think if done properly, it could be a really great, like, the lost diary of, like,
Doctor.
And like they could like do a
the
small
lost diary of Dr. Jenkins.
Clemens.
I'm sorry.
I mean, it could turn into something like that.
I mean, eventually he would die, but I don't think he's died right after.
He might end up going someplace else with this knowledge of this vampire. You know, I mean, I thought what I thought was amusing about that is that you're trying to catch this guy and you have the audacity to ask people where his house is while he's sitting in the bar, like, oh, here we go. Clemens, over here talking. Keep my house out your mouth, man. It's like,
you looking for Carfax Avenue?
Why, you live there? No, man.
No. I'm just asking.
I got some, because for a moment I thought some time had passed in that piece, where when he asked, I thought the woman was going to be like, there was a few gentlemen in here the other night looking for that place, to kind of allude to the fact that Van Helsing and them had already started chasing him.
Oh, that would have been cool.
And he's sitting in the bar because he don't want to go home. Because they in his house looking like
that would have been cool.
And you know what? You just caused a little epiphany for me personally, because here's the thing. Especially back then, white folks always took credit for shit we did. So for all we know, this motherfucker man killed him, and then these cats were like, yes, we took
blood transfusion. We will do the transfusion.
Care of the scourge of Dracula. I don't know who this African fellow is. That could have been it too.
That's what I think.
Or maybe that's why Dracula went back home. He was like, you know what, between y'all and this cat, he keep bothering me. I done had it with London.
Here it is, Mark. Here it is, Mark.
I ain't even gonna land on your parade.
Here it is, Mark. Here it is, Mark. Y'all, wow, I'm going back uptown.
Right. Oh, wow.
Like my man.
Yep.
Oh, like my man. What is it, Daredevil?
Daredevil.
Daredevil.
There's Daredevil. Luke Cage. He was in all of them. He was actually in all of them.
He's in all of them. He's getting good residual checks, but you know what, y'all are wild. I'm going back to Transylvania.
Yeah.
Y'all too wild.
I you know what, Denise, I'm gonna let you have that. Go ahead.
Okay.
Because thank you. We need a little bit of sunshine after you fucking singing "Here Come the Sun" during like the most touching moment in the movie. She won't come out with "Here Come the Sun," motherfucker. I'm gonna let you have that.
Thank you. Well, it was like a whole Titanic moment, and I was like, here we go.
That was very Titanic.
It was
very Titanic.
It was. And then here comes the sun.
No, for me, it wasn't. It was Airplane because of Denise. It wasn't. It was Denise and Airplane. That's all it was.
You're welcome.
All right, so
real quick, because you brought up a great point, both you and Mark. So, real quick, we should do, what movies would we create out of those little moments in the books that we have read that could be expounded on more.
Ooh, that's a good
because
one.
like you said, yeah, that was like a stroke of
Ooh.
like that was like a stroke of the studio saying, you know what, we're going to take a chance on something.
Yeah.
Right. It's not the same old. This is something totally fucking different. Right. Last Voyage of Demeter. So what would you guys like a moment, like a little chapter that doesn't go into a lot of detail, but could be expounded on in another movie on its own?
Oh gosh. That's a hard one.
Yeah, because I feel like that's one of those things that if we already had that in the chamber, we would have already written it. But
I got to marinate on that one.
Well, I mean, I want to say I did do that once when I was asked for something that's, you know, connected to King in Yellow and that Robert Chambers stuff and everything. So Mark and I are both in a horror anthology. We both have short stories in a horror anthology called oh shit, why am I not even on the rave?
Under Twin Suns.
Under Twin Suns. Yeah.
And I want to say that both of us in that instance, we created something along those lines. Like me specifically, I took a very random reference to the fate of African Americans as far as this faux fantasy universe that was created within those books. And I came up with this thing, Swanee, which is like a really, like, people have described this as a very hard read because it's very dark. And it's dark and it deals very heavy-handedly with racism.
I don't think it's too heavy-handed, actually. I don't think it was very intense, but not heavy-handed.
It was intense, yeah. I enjoyed it,
but it wasn't. I wouldn't say heavy-handed though, Steve.
Okay, no, well, other people said heavy-handed, so that's why I'm just saying.
Interesting.
Haters.
I certainly meant for intense.
Yeah, it was definitely intense.
That was my goal. Mark's story, and I've said this to Mark already, was probably the, as far as I'm concerned, was probably the closest in mood from the source material.
Yeah.
Because I kind of go left to center with mine. Mark was very, very in tune with the source material. I know the source material is very obscure, and you know, a lot of people listening to us right now are like, "What the fuck are you guys talking about?" But you know, yes, Under Twin Suns. But I'm just saying.
Yeah, and the King in Yellow. Yeah, the whole
and the King in Yellow thing. And all that stuff. It's like if you're, unless you're like really, really, really like people who've seen every Saw, every Hellraiser, every Friday the 13th, have not necessarily read the King in Yellow.
Right. Ooh.
Good catch on the cover there, Kirk.
Okay. Nice.
But speaking of the source material, it gets us to Under Twin Suns in the first place. Not everybody. Like, until I got the assignment, I had not finished all of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, that I you know, because I'm saying all of this to keep our audience sort of like with us as we discuss this.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought Mark's story was one of the more on point stories as far as the source material goes. That's what I got to say on that. So
I would agree. You know, I would definitely agree. The way he painted the environment and the character's like mental state, I think it was definitely like had the nail on the head. Yeah, I totally agree. The other stories weren't so much like that.
No.
Yeah, but the essence of the delirium and stuff. Yeah.
No
I mean, that particular story that I based my story off of, that was a hard read because I had to read it a couple of times to understand that there was a mental breakdown going on.
Yep.
And how it was pitched to me was like, read this and then come up with something that takes place in this, like in this kind of universe. Yeah. And so in my mind, I was like, well, you know what? Since the guy mentioned there were other people involved, why don't I just find one of these other people and just expand on, you know, their own breaking, their mental stability breaking down.
Yes.
And then once I understood all the other little components, I was like, okay, I can absolutely do this.
Yeah.
And then catch people off guard, because I don't think anybody saw.
Oh yeah.
Nobody saw that coming. What he was
not at all
doing.
Not at all. No, it was great. Right. Both your stories were great. I really enjoyed them.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I really enjoyed them.
Same here. Yep.
Yeah.
Get on our side.
Yeah.
On a side note, because this just hit me, and still in reference to Kirk's question. I don't know if all three of you saw this movie, but Grave of the Vampire.
Oh,
it's from a while ago.
Okay.
And it starts with this couple, and this is like the 70s or maybe even late 60s. But it starts with a couple making out in a car in front of a cemetery. And
as one does.
Right. Sure.
As one does.
Why not? I would love to be doing that right now. But anyway, except not in this sense, because in the cemetery, a vampire rises. Now, the best thing about this particular vampire, it's Michael Pataki. Michael Pataki, who, here's where you will recognize Michael Pataki from. Rocky IV. He is the manager of Ivan Drago.
Oh,
and he is famous for the line,
yes.
Whatever he hits, he destroys. That's who Michael Pataki is. But for the sake of this vampire movie, he crawls up. And this is going to be a little. Please forgive me if this is triggering. He gets up out of a random grave in this cemetery while this couple is in the car messing around. He rips the car door off. He picks homeboy up, breaks his back on a tombstone.
Ooh.
Bites him, and the girl, very irritatingly so, decides to just sit in the car and scream. The girl, unfortunately, she's raped.
Nah.
Okay.
She gives birth to a baby she has to feed blood to. The baby grows up to be William Smith, not our Will Smith of slapping Chris Rock fame. Will Smith of having fist fights with Clint Eastwood in
Any Which Way But Loose.
Yes, thank you.
The father from Conan the Barbarian, the father.
Yes. Even more important. Yes. That William Smith becomes this half vampire that is now taking night classes looking for his father.
Wow.
Because that is what Michael Pataki is. He's like teaching a night class on the occult.
Wow. Wow. He has nothing better to do.
So much shenanigans. Well, he's tracking down his father so he can kill him, but they kind of take their time with it.
Right.
And
welcome back.
Basically,
the dreams are all take it out. Welcome back.
They finally have a showdown.
Okay.
They finally have a showdown, and William Smith kills Michael Pataki.
Mark is dying.
Mark's done. I know. And it ends with this one woman who was going to, I guess, take Michael Pataki's, going to end up being Michael Pataki's bride. And then she's coming to make sure William Smith is okay. And now William Smith, full on fangs, full on vampire, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, the exploration of what happens to that character after the fact, that's something I might want to explore one of these days. I don't know. But
he takes over the night classes for his dad.
I'm your new professor.
I'm Mr. Smith.
Sorry, but the way he said that, he was like he's teaching night classes at the community college. It's like
his desk is full with apples he has not eaten. It's rotting apples on the desk because he's a vampire. What is going on?
Of all the things vampires over the decades have decided to do,
right?
You decided, hey, I have a wealth of knowledge. I'd like to share this with some students.
Actually, and if you think about it, that in of itself is not a horrible idea.
Oh,
Jesus.
But yeah,
welcome back.
Grave of the Vampire.
Grave of the Vampire.
And I gotta tell you, there's some gnarly scenes. And I don't throw the word gnarly around very often, but there's some very gnarly scenes. For this to be like a 1970s thing, this is pretty gnarly shit. I kid you not.
We gotta watch that with Denise because she's gonna have she gonna have some stitches, yo.
She gonna
have some stitches, man. This nigga got a cape.
Well, I mean, particularly since Homegirl had time to escape, the movie could have literally been 10 minutes long because all she had to do was get her get out the car and
get out the car
because he took his time killing the boyfriend.
She could have kicked her off her shoes and ran.
Nah, he got a lesson plan. She wanted to hear his lesson plan.
He wasn't even a teacher yet.
He's still working on his master's.
The credentials were not complete.
But wait,
I died before my diploma.
Is it masters or masters?
Ah.
Thank you.
Oh my stars.
You know what? Now that you mention that, there would be. I had toyed with this idea.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I would like, although I'd have to change it because I don't like the subject matter too much.
Okay.
But I would like to do Freddy Krueger before they caught him.
Ooh, yeah.
The story of
Henry.
The story of the Springwood slasher.
Yeah.
And the fact that he was going around. I mean, unfortunately, now that I found out that Wes actually changed it, that he actually was a child. But like I was like, I didn't realize that was the case. I thought they just changed that for the remake or the reboot or whatever they did. I didn't realize that's what he originally had him. But if I just had him as just someone who was stalking and killing people, and maybe Springfield was the last place he showed up in. That's how he got caught. Maybe he was like a serial killer making his way across country and ended up here.
Wait. So that's what happened to Henry, Portrait of a Serial
Killer.
Wow.
Henry he ran into Freddy. And
I was saying he's actually Freddy. After he dumps the body, he rides off. Where did he go?
Rides off.
He went to Springfield and started his own molestation practice.
Mm.
You know what? I don't even. It's either that. it's either that, or I would do the story of Jason Voorhees' father.
Ooh.
Okay.
And
ooh, that's a good one.
Maybe.
And don't even let that sort of reveal itself further into the story, and it's just like this real fucked up whatever, and then that
or maybe he is the actual sheriff. And that's why he has not done his due diligence to catch Jason.
Oh wow.
Okay.
Wow. I think I would do a story on one of Dracula's first 3 wives, like maybe the second wife, her story and how she came across Dracula.
Call it the midwife.
Yeah. The midwife. Yeah, not necessarily the first one, but maybe the second or the third one before he leaves and looks for Lucy and all of that.
Pearl. Where you going tonight? You know what? Between you and Jessica, I'm not putting up with this.
But you said you'd be home by 7.
You say you'd be home by dawn.
Now?
You said between you and that
doesn't mean no good. Right, that bitch over there. Why am I finding this blonde hair over here when she's a redhead and I'm a brunette?
Come home late one more time. See if I will lock you out the castle.
It's like, you do realize it's my motherfucking castle.
I don't care. Su casa y mi casa.
My coochie pink, my booty hole brown.
Whoa.
Can't take you nowhere. Can't take you nowhere.
That's wild. I've never heard a man say that line. It's been the original artist and some random strippers on Instagram. Wow. Okay.
The shenanigans part. Oh, look at Mark's face. Look at Mark. Once again, rendered speechless. And he took his glasses off. Oh no.
Oh man.
Woo! Oh my stars.
This blood wine's good.
Apparently. Holy shit. Yeah, that caught me off guard. All right. Hey, so we've only got a couple of minutes left because we were really having fun. And we're gonna try to keep this. We're gonna try to keep this to an hour, but I'm now about to do something that may fuck this whole thing up. I'm about to bring up the multiple indictments that Donald Trump is facing. And you know, people watching the news, people having theories, people doing this. Mark Meadows, of course, is trying to get his shit, and a few others, I guess, are trying to get themselves bounced over to federal court, where I'm sure they have friends that will take much better care of them if they were in Fulton County with my man, with Harrison Floyd. That dumb mother. Anyway,
tokens get spent.
Tokens get spent. That might be the greatest line that I have heard. Even though I also heard a crazy rumor that he's actually managed to like raise a significant amount of money for himself, but I don't know. You know what? That's the messed up thing about our world right now. You honestly don't know what's true and what's not. Like, obviously, some shit's going to ring as complete bullshit, because I saw a tweet talking about Fannie Willis is in trouble because of X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, that's troll Republican conservative BS.
Yeah.
Not in any trouble. I mean, okay, so there is some talk that they're trying to put something in play where she may get fired before she gets to bring the case to trial.
Oh no. Oof.
But it's you know,
that's not true.
In the words of Denzel Washington in Training Day, you know, it's chess, not checkers. You know, so but the thing is that the fact that that's floating around, obviously that's very distressful, you know, just distressing. I want to say
actually the governor addressed that.
Oh really?
Did he?
Yes, he did.
What did he say?
He was like, I just love the way he started out his speech. He was
talking
like,
about Kemp, right?
Yes, Kemp was like, he was like, so let's start with the fact that apparently some people forgot what I said back when this whole thing started. So let's go back to the beginning. And he basically was like, I'm following the letter of the law. I'm not, you know, I'm probably basically paraphrasing. He basically said, now I know about all of this stuff about Fonnie Willis, and he goes, and she has shown no reason why she should be fired or taken off this case. And he's like, and as long as I'm governor, she's going to see this case through to the end.
Yes.
So he goes,
shit.
He said, I already told the legislative Republicans we were not opening up investigations, doing all this, but apparently some people didn't hear me the first time. So I'm gonna say this clearly now. I am not going down that road because and I honestly think for him, the simple fact that he and Ratzenberger and everybody else basically were like, we're not selling our souls to the devil to save this clown. They're too far down the rabbit hole to let the Republican legislature pull that stunt, because the problem is it's out in the open. And now, particularly with the states literally now talking about taking Trump off the ballot for 2024, and it's an active conversation. Like this isn't even like so
thank goodness.
The whole thing, I guess, to him is like, this would be pointless to even take her off this, and then what he's not going to get what you guys think he's going to get. So I mean, I'm hoping, because I know they set that whole thing up so that they can fire whomever they don't like going after, you know, because if they fire her, who gets the job? Her secondary. Then you have to fire them. Now, how you going to justify doing that? You know, it's like, you have to go through the whole office.
But I think, so there's a couple of things that are like flashing off in my head right now with that bit of information. First of all, that sounds like Governor Kemp is trying to get reelected.
Yeah.
That too.
And Governor Kemp knows that these black folks and I think Governor Kemp may also be very much aware of the fact that he may have stolen an election from Stacey Abrams.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And his constituents they have that in their mind. Let me tell you something. Those folks in Georgia, those black folks in Georgia are activated. They put the rest of us to shame.
Yeah.
They do. So they will unelect this motherfucker. That'd be the first thing. Like, okay, you let whatever. And also, I'm also of the mind that, okay, so Fannie Willis gets fired. I would imagine that the rest of the office will then get up, write resignation letters, and they will also bounce, leaving you one Republican puppet whoever who now has to do whatever, but then run the entire DA's office by himself or herself. So let's think about that.
Wow.
Those are my theories. Those are my thoughts as far as all that goes.
Wow.
That is, I completely missed that thing. Probably because I was binging Cobra Kai or some shit. So I missed the Kemp thing, but sounds like Kemp is way more concerned with saving his own political career than worrying about these 19 assholes.
Mhm.
And on a random thought, it wasn't just Harrison Floyd, who, for all intents and purposes, betrayed the culture. And I help me with the name, Mark, if you remember. But apparently, a former publicist of Kanye West's.
Yeah, that chick.
Yeah. Who Teslin Figueroa destroyed in an Instagram interview. Like teared her to pieces.
Oh wow.
But she's one of these folks that's on that. Candace Owens, Clarence Thomas, S, and her mugshot. I don't know what kind of Ritalin or whatever the fuck she was on. But oh my god, that's like, and it was scary because it kind of brought me back to a blind date I did in the 90s. I was like, okay.
Oh no.
It's when you really like have to chew your arm off to get away from the woman. But
you ain't beat her with your cane?
I didn't have the cane yet. But you motherfuckers. Anyway. So anyway, yeah, stuff continuing. And Beef Wine and Shenanigans will continue to comment on it. As much as we would, just rather some of these people, as I said earlier, get catapulted into the sun. It would be nice. It would be. But yeah, how much time do we have left? Oh, 3 minutes. Wow.
Oh shoot.
So with these 3 minutes, I am going to plug something that I watched on Netflix. And it was a little depressing, but I gotta tell you, it's beautifully shot. And it kind of made me emotional more than a couple of times. This thing called Our World. It's basically old school, like it comes across as originally as like old school, animal documentary stuff, but it's beautifully shot. There's a lot of tie into the global warming thing, which we can sit up here, we can argue about racism, sexism, all these other isms, and everything else like that. But as I have told racists before, if you don't address the global warming thing, like if the whole planet's on fire, nobody's going to see your burning cross.
Right. Ooh.
So,
oh my goodness.
It's like it's just one of those things I think we all need to kind of like be conscious of. And that is kind of where I'm at.
The Our World, is it a TV show or is it a movie on Netflix?
No, it's Netflix. It's
a series or is it?
Mm-hmm. It's a series.
Okay. Oh, okay. I'll check it out.
There is some heartbreaking shit. I'm just gonna warn you now.
Okay.
There's this one thing going on with albatrosses, and they're trying to feed their young, but there's so much fucking plastic in the water, you might actually be feeding your baby albatross a fucking cigarette lighter.
Oh no!
But it's bananas.
Okay.
But it's worth a look, and it's if you really want to like, first of all, you want to learn some really cool stuff about like just animals in the wild. It's amazing. Just on that note.
Nice.
And I think it's narrated by like Richard Attenborough or somebody like that. So it's just like,
probably.
It's like it's if you're into that kind of thing, I swear to God, go tune the fuck in. That's our show. Jesus. First of all, I want to thank Kirk Johnson for the swifty fingers of pulling up the Under Twin Suns.
That's awesome.
Because I don't even think I have that on my computer. Oh my God. Or if I did, let me just say it would take me about the amount of time that it takes for Columbo to solve a murder. And Kirk just popped up with it like that. Denise Tapscott.
Yes.
To say you're a breath of fresh air would be understating it completely.
Oh, thank you.
Mark Abbott, you my man, 20 grand. Because I wasn't even trying to go out and drink last night, but Mark was like, "Yeah, I need to get out of the house." I'm like, okay, here I come, and
nice.
And we met some strange drunk people, and we had a real good time.
Awesome.
Well, we just met them. We didn't start doing cocaine with them. Like,
No, I'm just saying.
No,
not scared. It is what it is.
It really is.
It
really is what it is. And Denise Tapscott said what she said. And
I said what I said.
And that is this episode of Beef Wine Shenanigans. We love you for listening. We are out of here, and we will see you soon, real soon.
Yes.
Keep ahead of the devil. Night.